Welcome to the Chase and Embrace Show, where I have deep dive conversations with women who have said yes to Jesus and embrace His love, His identity, and His authority in her life. Come join the conversation with us today. Hey everyone, thank you for coming to Chase and Embrace. And I'm your host, Sharon. And with me during this episode is Sue Bowles, and she is a certified life coach. Welcome to the show, Sue.
Thanks for having me, Sharon. I am really looking forward to this.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this conversation too. Each conversation that I have on this channel, I learn something new about God and Jesus and how He's working in people's lives. And so, why don't you explain what a certified life coach is?
Sure. I am an ACC certified master life and mental health coach. And what that means, the ACC means I've gone through a rigorous training, 10 hours of mentor coaching, and then passed an audio and a written exam to be certified within the International Coaching Federation, which is the gold standard for coaching. All that fluff aside, what it means is I get to walk with people who are what's the best way to put it? I work with people who feel bruised, beat up, and broken by the world as they do the work to rewrite their narratives so they can live the life they don't think they deserve. That takes us in all kinds of different ways. It might be boundaries, it might be work stuff, it might be career, could be communication, it could be relationships, it could be any number of things, stress, anxiety, all kinds of things. Basically, people are struggling. That's not even debatable
True.
anymore. People are struggling and they need someone to walk alongside with them, not just to be a companion, but to help them get where they want to go and they don't know how to get there. I specialize in helping them get where they want to go.
It's amazing. Yeah, I totally agree. Everyone is struggling these days. And if they're not, I don't know what's wrong with them. Unfortunately, this world is really chaotic. I mean, we get, when you walk with Jesus, you get God's peace, you get His joy, you get His strength, right? And even in the chaos, you can find those things. But the enemy is doing a very good job at trying to get us off path, trying to get us in our thoughts that
Mhm.
are not a truth. And so let's say somebody comes to you and says, "Hey, I'm struggling with my mental health and I want to go here." Like, what is your process? And honestly, what is why did you go this route? What is this in your
Mm.
story that made you go this route?
Yeah, my heart and passion is to break the stigma around faith and mental health and to address that intersection because unfortunately we've come further than we have in the past, but there's still a number of places and a lot of churches and people in the church that believe mental health is just a faith and a prayer problem. And while those are certainly part of it, we are human. Therefore, and we are in a shell, and we all live in a fallen world, and we are all victims of the sin nature. And that sin affects how our body reacts. It affects how our mind interacts. And that's all scientifically proven. And what I do is I break that stigma down where it's okay to not be okay so that I can be a safe place where people can share what they're struggling with. Where it fits from my story is that I have struggled with mental health. I'm in recovery from an eating disorder. I'm a childhood rape survivor, and I kept it a secret for 15 years until my senior year of college. And I really didn't even start healing with it until 2014, over 4 decades after it happened. I've twice considered ending my life. I've dabbled in cutting. I've struggled with anxiety and depression. Alcoholism runs in my family. My brother and my dad are both sober. Dad was 33 years sober before he passed. My brother just passed 12 years sober. So all of those mental health struggles and so many more. I'm in recovery from an eating disorder, if I didn't say that. So all those things and more have been part of my life. And I was believing the lie that I was too screwed up, too far gone, and a total waste of space. And I believed that I was too far gone for God. And through the love of a lot of people with a retreat community I'm part of, through a great counselor that I'm still with, and I have no shame in saying that.
Mhm.
Through community and support, I am now to the place where I can help others. My company name is My Step Ahead. And the whole premise of that is you only have to be a step ahead to help the person behind you. Every person has life experience. We may try to put the tag of meaningful life experience on it, but every life experience is meaningful.
Yes.
Therefore, everyone is qualified to help someone while you're still figuring your stuff out. So I may reach forward to my counselor for stuff I'm working through while I reach back and help somebody else, and we have a human chain of support. That is the power. That's how we break the stigma around mental health, because you don't have to have it all figured out for God to use you. And that is a message that many people need to hear. And that is one that I'm shouting from the rooftops at every opportunity I have, because it is one more way that we tell the enemy that he doesn't get to this on the sideline, that God has
Yes.
great plans for us, that God has great plans for you, the listener or the viewer, right now. And God wants to use you where you are while he's still working with you to get you where he wants you to go. And that's
Yes.
okay.
That's so
That is
true.
okay. And that's what I'm
Yeah.
all about, is being with people in that journey and helping them be able not just cope, but to continue to move. My whole thing is think movement, not just a
Mhm.
destination, but we're constantly moving because we're going from glory to glory. And each
Yes.
step we take is another step of that movement. So my whole thing is think movement, not destination.
Yes, that's beautiful. Cause I totally agree because my struggle through my life has been my identity. And I don't mean whether I'm male or female or that kind of identity. It's knowing that I have value. And I don't know why that's always been a struggle. I don't feel like my parents ever said anything to make me not feel valuable. But it's just always been something that's been attacked. I've never felt like I had anything important to say. I've never, I didn't like anything about me, the hair color, my how short I am, because I'm only 5'1", I could be shrinking. I don't know. And I didn't like my skin color. I didn't like this. I didn't like that. And then, and it's just like God has been really working with me on one, liking and loving myself. 2,
Mhm,
claiming my identity through him and not through the world. So he's peeled off a lot of layers of how I described myself. And so it's just, and now he wants me to go and teach others what he has taught.
mhm,
And
mhm,
so I totally agree that even though I am still in process. So, like, I want to teach people how to have a foundational relationship with God because only 7 years ago did I have one. Before, I've always believed in
mhm,
God all my
mhm.
life. But did I have a relationship? I didn't even know what that was. The church is not very good at letting us know what a relationship with Jesus looks like, at least most
Right,
of the churches I've been through.
right.
And then once you have that foundational relationship, it opens so many doors to like who you are in your identity, what is your purpose, what is your authority, and all of these things. And so it's really awesome for people who need someone like you to walk beside them to get through that. That's amazing.
And,
God threw me into the wilderness, not in the desert wilderness, but the mountains so I could hear his voice more loud.
mhm,
Basically,
right.
I'm in isolation.
Yeah, the retreat program I mentioned is called Walking Stick Retreats, started in 2014, 2015. And I believe God speaks to each person in language he knows they're going to understand. For me, it's this music and it's
Uh-huh.
retreats. And God used those retreats and continues to use them to bring out the deep healing in my life to where I now know that I was buying a lie. When I
Yeah.
walked into that first retreat, I was anything but. And now, God's opening a lot of doors. One of the things you said, talking about identity and those kind of things, there is one of the things that I've been doing since May, really, is working on my YouTube channel, and it has grown
Huh?
greatly. But because I want it to be a safe place where we could have the hard conversations, and when you're talking about relationship, sometimes relationships have some really hard conversations. Sometimes you're like, "Am I allowed to be mad at God? Am I allowed to doubt God? Is it okay if, if I just haul off and just, you know, be angry and shout and scream and just haul off on God?" And the answer is yes, every single one of those,
Yep,
because
yep,
that's part of relationship. And that's one of the things that I talk about on my YouTube channel is about those moments, those hard times, having those hard conversations. I went through a period when my dad died in December 2022. We're coming up on 3 years. And I went through about 4 months where I was locked and blocked. I was so hacked off and so frozen. It was stiff arming God. And in his love and in his mercy and his desire to pursue me, that chase and embrace,
yes,
he knew. He spoke to me through music the week before a retreat, and that speaking through the music laid the groundwork for the breakthrough at retreat. He will continue to do that. He didn't hold it against me that I was mad. He didn't hold it against me that it was everything I could do to just show up at church and try to worship. He didn't hold that against me at all. This
yes.
year, earlier this year when there was all the shootings going on and the floods and everything, I put up a video about, is it okay to doubt God? And it is, and that's what I want the YouTube channel to be. That's what I want this whole thing to be about, is having the hard conversations that you have in a relationship. You and I went out for coffee. We might be sitting there talking about the different doubts and the struggles, but for some reason, we feel like the God of the universe who creates us and knows us anyway, that we're not allowed to say that, and that's just pious
Garbage.
religiosity is all that is.
Yeah,
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 that too,
and it's
that
so
too.
true. It's so true. I don't know how many conversations I have with God. God wants our heart, and if He wants our heart, and we only give Him part of our heart, like the happy things for our heart, you're not giving Him your whole heart. God wants to have those conversations. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to be all of those things. But the thing is take it to God. And so that you guys can have this conversation, He can love on you, and then He can heal you from all of the stuff. Where it gets hard is when people don't take it to God, they take it to other people, and then they become, um, you know, then that's where the sin could happen. You know what I mean?
Right.
The anger can lead to sin. And so, but if you take it to God, then it's like a release. I don't know how
Yeah.
many times I've like gotten angry at God, and I like when I just can't get out and I know that things I can't get out of my mind, the enemy just keeps circling and prayer isn't working. Like you, I go to music. I sit and I worship music, and half the time I'm dancing to it too.
Yep.
And
Yep.
it helps me a lot.
I had a couple thoughts going through my mind as I was listening
Yeah.
to you, and one of them is that, yes, it's easy to say, "Take it to God," and
Yes.
I know 10 years ago, I'd be sitting here thinking, "Yeah, you can say that, but you don't know my story.
That's
You
true.
don't know. Don't tell me it's just take it to God, because I got so many hangups about God right now." And that because those emotions, and all the stuff that we're trying to deal with, because we can't get through that, saying take it to God sometimes feels like a slap in the face and minimizing things. And
Mm,
I hear what you're saying, that, yeah, we don't want it to become gossip and to go to somebody else before you go to God. I certainly hear that, and yes, agree with that.
mm,
And I want to leave room for also understanding that sometimes going to God is a hard step, because it's requiring you to be authentic, and sometimes we're struggling inside, we're like, I don't know what to do with this, and you want me to go like that? That ain't gonna
yeah.
happen. But when
Yes.
we're like this, it's like, "All right, so what is what I call my baby step of obedience?" It's like, "God, I am really hacked off, and I don't know what to do, so I'm just telling you, and that's all I got for you." And that's all he wants.
It's funny that you
That's
say
what I
that.
mean.
Yeah, I know what you mean because when I got a divorce, a couple decades ago, I did the opposite. I did not go to God. I was angry, I was sad, and I mean, and of course, I played a part in it, no, fully, but I told God instead, I said, "God," I said, "I'm gonna walk away right now." I said, "We'll be closer on the other side, but right now, I'm gonna go out there because I don't know what to say, I don't know what to do with you, and so I'm gonna go do my own thing for a little while, but we'll be closer on the other side," you know? And it was 10 years almost.
Mm,
10 years of doing my own thing. And then it was interesting is then 2018 was the beginning of my road to having a foundational relationship with Jesus. And so
mhm.
I'm glad that you said that. I'm glad that you said that there are some people who cannot even go to God right now because that's where I was back then. So, and I had forgotten that. So, thank you for the reminder. And
Well,
it's true.
well, and then that's one of the things as a coach, that's where I get to walk with people because those things that are getting in the way of feeling like you can be authentic and vulnerable with God are the emotions and the story you're telling yourself or the story that you're believing about what has happened. And we talk about getting the story straight because most of the time, the things we're telling ourselves, the things we're believing are one sided because they are our interpretation of events and there's usually another perspective. So some of the skills that I help my clients learn, what I call without attachment, about how we can look at things from an observer mode and try to just briefly separate out some of the emotion to then see it from another angle. And then sometimes that brings a little bit of movement, brings a little bit of relief of, so maybe, yeah, I'm reacting to what I'm telling myself, and what I'm telling myself isn't the full story. So when consider this other side, now I can give myself a little more grace. Now I'm not beating myself up, which only churns the mess all the more.
Right.
Okay, now I'm feeling just a little bit of relief. One of the other skills that I teach my clients is about gratitude and anxiety. I have a lot of clients who struggle with anxiety, and that is okay. If if anxiety was not supposed to be there, it wouldn't be in the Bible. Yet, how many times, be anxious for nothing. When my anxious thoughts multiply within me, your consolations, O Lord, delight my soul. In the Psalms, in the New Testament, already, don't worry about anything, but by prayer and supplication, with thanksgiving, present your request to God. There's another one. So God knew that anxiety was going to be part of the package,
Yes.
and He gives us tools. And what I love is that verse about with thanksgiving, gratitude is scientifically proven that gratitude and anxiety cannot coexist because they come from the same part of the brain. So, one of the skills I teach my clients is how to interrupt those thoughts, what I call throw a pebble on the anxiety train track. And as we work through that and we have some real life examples, their homework that week is just to, apply that, and it's so cool, Sharon, when they come back next week and like, "It works!" I had a client
It
last
does
I had a
work.
client last year yeah, I had a client last year who not only came back with that reaction, but was sharing it with her husband and her son, and then was talking to church and incorporated that into what she was sharing at church. That is the
That's
power of
awesome.
that's the power of coaching. That's the power of
Mhm.
mental health coaching, because there are things that are daily struggles that mess with your mental health, and those are the things that I can help with. Now, there are certain things that need to be dealt with a counselor, and that's where I know what to look for and, when it's outside of my scope and those kind of things. But that's what I enjoy being a coach is be able to help people, as I said, live the life they don't think they deserve. They don't think
So
that they deserve to heal from something, and we can help
right.
that happen.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask you a couple questions. One, when someone says I'm a person that has a lot of anxiety, I believe that we should not claim that. I believe that, yes, we can struggle with anxiety, but God gives us the authority to overcome that. Now, They need probably someone like you, or like with me, it was the Holy Spirit, teach us ways, because they need to be in the word, right? To say, like you said, gratitude, right? If I'm in having a moment of anxiety, which I do a lot, and I start saying, God, I am thankful for my husband. I'm thankful for my daughter. I'm thankful for your grace. I'm thankful for your mercy, and so on. Then it gets me out of the anxiety, like you said, because it goes into the same brain. But I don't think that we should label ourselves as people of anxiety. And I want to get your opinion on
Well, I hear what you're saying, and I know there are a number of different people out there that speak to that,
that.
and in some ways, it can be a semantical issue
Hmm.
because we're used to, yes, the colloquialism, "Oh, I have anxiety." I hear what you're saying of don't put that on yourself.
Right.
At the same time, I struggle with anxious thoughts. I struggle with anxiety. So
Hmm.
it can be a fine line. The bottom line is that anxiety is a struggle, so let's deal with that.
Right.
That's my heart, because the other stuff for me is semantics. If we deal with anxiety, we don't have to worry about, are we claiming anxiety, or are we saying I just have anxious thoughts? I now have the tools to deal with it. So let's just cut to the chase and deal with that instead.
Yeah, that's good. And then, so for you, so you have basically like a toolbox that you teach people on how to get over anxiety. What other things do you help with? Depression, or do you help with, let's say, people don't know their purpose? There's a lot of people out there that want to know that they're on the right track with what God has them for them in life. I mean, it's all over. We met through the Christian network group, No Drier Ground. And so there's a lot of people that said, there was a question in it that said, if you could ask God one question, what would it be? And many people were like, am I doing the right thing? Am I on the right track? So let's say someone comes to you and says, I don't know if I'm on the right track. Walk us through like a little, like the first thing you would do with them.
So and I actually have a client, we're working through this right now. So
Okay.
it is not uncommon because
Yes, I
it's a
know.
it's a normal thing. And again, that's what I love is she's willing to ask the hard questions. So
Right.
that's what we want. When we talk about purpose, when we talk about life direction, we're talking about more than just a career, what you do for a job.
Right.
That is part of identity, but it's not. It's what you do. It's not necessarily who you are. What we
Exactly.
talk about to really know who you are and what is important to you. It's critical to know what your values are and what I call the non-negotiables, the pillars. And I have actually a workshop that I do on this as well, where we talk about these different things, where we spend some time talking about what are the core pillars in your life, what are the core values, and we work through those and we talk about those, and then within those values, okay, what is supporting those values? Because the values are one thing, but what is driving those values? That's what we wanna get at because that's where the true heartbeat is. So, for
Hmm.
example, if I value time with my family, okay, that's nice. The deeper core underneath that is I want to be able to nurture my children, and I'm not married, I'm just using this as an example.
Right.
I want to be able to nurture and see people grow. So I value discipleship as displayed by my relationship with my family.
Hmm.
That's a whole see how that just totally developed to a whole deeper thing as compared to, "I wanna have a great family." You get to the deeper core, and once you identify what those values are, what those core pillars are, then you start seeing how those core pillars are displayed through different things. Yes, that may be through your job. That may be through different things. So, an example I use, if someone says, "I need to lose weight," that's a big one, especially coming up on New Year,
Yeah.
these kind of things. They're like, "I need to do this. I wanna do this." Okay. Is that really the value? Is the value in a number, in an image, or is in the value in health? And once we're able to identify what the deeper core values are and the core pillars, then what we do, instead of trying to form a new habit or do something around this of, well, I want to do this. So that means I need to go work out this many times a week or whatever. Habits can become drudgery. And then when we don't meet that, then we start heaping more judgment on ourselves and it becomes a cesspool. But if you turn it around to a habit, instead of a habit, it becomes behaviors in line with my values. Then it's not, I have to eat healthy. It's, I value my health. Therefore, I'm making this decision. Whole different ballgame, whole different mindset, whole different no judgment zone. Those are the things I
It's
work
true.
through. And that goes for life purpose. It goes for life goals. It could be a momentary goal or a bigger goal. But we want to talk about what makes you tick. And then how is that how is that being lived out now? Where do you want to see it lived out? Where's maybe some places where you're like, but I want to do this. And can I? And that's where we start getting into the doubts and the self-talk and all those other things we coach on. And then we're able to start picking apart the obstacles that are getting in the way of you living the life you don't think you deserve so that you can live that life because you do deserve it.
Yeah. I mean, God had created us with purpose, and He created us, and we know who we are, or He knows who we are, and the world gets in the way.
And I think sometimes we can define purpose as what I do. What you do is an extension of who you are. Your purpose, yes, there's the global biblical purpose of make disciples. That is our overriding purpose. How each of us live that out, how we live out the one another verses and all these different things, how we utilize and put into operation the gifts God has given us is where it gets down to the individuality of it all. And
Right.
that's where it gets fun because each person is given a gift. Not everyone's an arm, not everyone's a toe. And
Right.
the whole body will not function if people aren't operating in their gifts. But you can't really know how to use your gifts until you know your values and your underlying core pillars of support for your life. And then that sets the tone for, okay, let's identify these gifts and how can they come into play here? And then that's when you start finding a more fulfilled life is when your gifts and your values and your abilities all come in with where the world's greatest need is as well, because God tends to marry the two together.
Yeah. So, how do you help someone discover their gifts, the gifts God given them?
Great question. Yeah, some of it is what we've already talked about, or what are the things that give you passion? Because most likely your gifts are wrapped up in whatever is really passionate in your heart. And
Hmm.
it might be needing to identify some of those passions and then be able to say, okay, so which biblical gifts does that display? Yes, there are spiritual gift assessments. Those are certainly good tools to use as well. And it's not the end all be all. It's an
Right.
assessment. It's a tool. It gives you a snapshot to the window of things for now. It's not, this assessment said I have the gift of faith, and that means I should be doing this, but I really am not comfortable doing this. Gifts play out in all kinds of different ways. And
Yes,
again,
they
that's part
do.
of the freedom of helping people discover. So different assessments you can use, learning what it is that really makes them tick. Where do they find they're getting energy? What charges their battery when they're out doing something? Because that's usually them operating in their gifting in some way. And they may
Okay.
just
So,
not
I
have,
have
have
to
the words to
ask.
put that.
I have
Oh,
to
all
ask,
right.
what charges your
Yeah.
batteries? What charges your batteries, Sue? I
So
know
many
one.
things. What? I tell me on
Uh,
what?
Helping people find
Yes.
who they are in
Yes.
Christ, and their
Yes.
identity and their passion
Yes.
walking
And
beside them. So
that
teaching.
operates that yeah, teaching, encouragement, faith, because sometimes I'm holding on to hope for others until they can hold on to it for themselves.
Right.
So
Yeah.
all of those are yes, coaching, speaking. I speak across the country virtually and in person. Absolutely love that. I'm an author. I'm a two-time Amazon bestselling author. Love that. All those things charge my battery and getting away. I'm learning more and more that I have to have that recharge time. Those retreats, the walking stick retreats, are a huge part of that for me, although I'm making more adjustments so that that's not the only time. Because it's
Right.
really easy for me just to get on a treadmill. Anybody in any kind of helping profession has to really continue to evaluate your boundaries so that you don't burn out. and it's
Yes,
really
for
easy for me.
sure.
I have a full-time job during the day, and then I coach in the evenings after work, and it's really easy at times to feel like all I do is work, and it's like, okay, that's my red flag right there that I need to have some time. So I have between Monday and Friday, I have 1 day each week on Thursdays where I don't see clients. That's my off day to do whatever I need to do. That is my time to recharge. I need to do that so that I can better serve my clients.
So what do you
Those are
Yeah, so what do you do to get away?
sometimes I'll go to Panera and just enjoy. Sometimes I'll just go on a drive. Driving is really therapeutic for me.
It
And
is
sometimes
me
it's just
too.
yeah, sometimes it's just some alone time. I am finishing up a certification to be a 7 types of rest certified speaker and trainer. And it's all based on the book Sacred Rest by Dr. Sandra Dalton Smith. And it talks about the 7 types of rest we all need. And that has really been helpful for me to identify, when I need a break of some type. And like to me today, I needed to take a break at work because I've been looking at spreadsheets and doing stuff, and my eyes were not focusing, which is a red flag that you need some
Mhm.
rest. So, one of the things we talk about is that for every 20 minutes that you're reading or on the computer or anything like that, take 20 seconds to look at something 20 feet away, and it helps reset the brain. So, I went out, I took a 20-minute walk because I'm like, I just need to get out. So sometimes those little things recharge my battery and give me a break. But I'm going through the certification program is helping raise my awareness for myself so that I can make sure I'm getting the proper types of rest that I need.
Okay, so what are the 7 things, indicators that you need rest?
It's not so much indicators. There's indicators within each one, but there are 7
Okay.
types of rest. And I always
Okay.
end up forgetting one. So forgive me, Sandra. I really will get this right. If I had it visually in front of me, you know what? Let me do this. I've got the
Yeah,
book
feel
right
free.
here. So
Okay.
yeah,
I've seen
I'm
that
using a
book.
cheat. Yes, yes. So all right. So the 7 types of rest we all need. Forgive me for cheating, but that way I'm not cheating your audience. All right. Physical rest, which is more than sleeping. Mental rest, emotional rest, spiritual rest, creative rest, sensory rest, and social rest. So
Okay,
physical.
so what's the difference between emotional and mental rest?
Emotional rest is a place where you can just be you, where you feel safe with your emotions, you feel safe sharing those with somebody else. It's a place it's like for me, example is the retreats. That is a place where I can get emotional rest because I don't feel guarded. I'm not putting energy into guarding my emotions, therefore I can rest emotionally. Mental rest is all the chatter from all the different inputs. It might be self-talk, it might be all the things to do. To me, today, when the some just how much input you're putting into your brain and needing just to take that break because we have stimuli all over the place. We are
It does,
constantly
yes.
on our phones, reading emails, texting people, doing something, and our mind is constantly thinking to the point of overwhelm. I had a client this week, we were talking about it. She's like, I can't even think, and we were talking about mental rest, and she's feeling very overwhelmed, which is one of the signs of needing some mental rest. So one of the tools for it to start getting it under control, just to give a little bit of a break, is to write down everything that is overwhelming you. Just getting it from the brain to paper gives a chance for the brain to relax because you're not constantly thinking.
Yeah,
That's what mental
it's
rest is
funny,
about.
I've learned that through I can handle and balance a lot of things in my mind and think about all the things that I need to do, but there's a breaking point. When I can't remember, I'm like, "Oh, I can't forget that. I can't forget that. I can't." I put a little box and then I write down a piece of paper and then it does. It
Hmm.
takes that load off your
Hmm.
brain because you don't have to remember everything.
Yep. That
And so
is
now
mental
I
rest.
have a trusty app. I found an app that's just as satisfying as writing it down on a piece of paper with a box because
Hmm.
they have a little dot. It's super simple.
What
I
app
forgot
is
what
it?
it is called Smart Tasks. And so I don't know if you can see it, but see, you can color code it and you
Okay.
just go like this and you put in what you want and then a reminder, you can do it daily, you could do it whatever, and it's super
Okay.
simple and I love it.
Okay. Cool. And that gave you some mental rest because now
Yes.
those things don't feel out of control. You are controlling them. And that then lowers the stress, it lowers the anxiety, and that then alters the blood pressure and the cortisol and all those other things, and then helps you sleep better so you get better
Yeah.
physical rest. See how it's
Eh,
all intertwined?
yeah. You know what's funny is when I start getting overwhelmed because I'm undiagnosed ADHD, but kind of diagnosed because my daughter used to diagnose adults with ADHD. And so she diagnosed me, but I never went through it officially. So, and all that to say is I know when I'm being overwhelmed because I get scatterbrained. I'm like over here, I drive my husband crazy. I'm like, for instance, I'll be very honest. I messaged you and said, I'm going to be a few minutes late. And yes, I was 3 minutes late. But actually, it was kind of funny is I was way in advance. When I texted you that, I thought I had, 30 minutes until we recorded this. And
Mhm,
actually I had an hour and a half. Like I lost track of an hour. And I'm just like and I'm trying to tell my husband, I gotta hurry, I gotta go do my makeup, I gotta go, fix your lunch, I gotta go do this, I gotta do that. And he's like, "You're driving me crazy." And it's like, so that's when I know I'm overwhelmed is because my brain just gets very scattered.
mhm, mhm, very much so. Our bodies talk to us. We don't do a good job of listening. We might be aware, but we don't listen.
The greatest thing is I told you, I just mentioned not that long ago that God has us in isolation and we live in the mountains and it's so
Okay.
beautiful here. And we
Yeah,
can go we have 10 acres and we can go out and take a
nice.
walk on our property. And it is so beautiful to hear the birds and see the wild turkeys and the elk and the trees and the river and the mountains, and soon it'll be snow and all of these things that I don't know, nature, and I think this is biblical, but nature just puts you at rest.
And it's different for different people. Not everybody, can handle getting away. For me, right before we got on, I went outside because it's yesterday it was raining cats and dogs and gray and cold and
Hold
nasty.
on, I'm gonna have a coughing fit.
No problem.
And I clipped it for my husband so he knows where to delete it.
Do you have some water or something?
Yeah, I just have to get over the coughing part.
Gotcha. Yeah. You don't want to spit water.
No, I don't spit water, I choke. It'll
That'd be
even
all
be
bad.
worse. Yes, it's a lot worse. This is just a tickle.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Okay.
So
So, all
okay,
right. So,
so
so, so right before we got on, um, yesterday it was raining cats and dogs, gray, ugly, and now it's beautiful. It's sunny. It's so gorgeous out there. So I took just 1 minute and filmed a quick 1 minute video I just put on YouTube of just the 1 minute mental rest of right
yeah.
before time change weekend because time change can affect your mental health and everything. And I just did a video on that. But just taking that 1 minute to just stop, get in the sunshine, and look at the colors. The trees are so beautiful. I hadn't noticed it because we're so busy and doing our thing
Mhm.
that just stopping for that 1 minute in nature, but in my front yard was
Yes.
just glorious. And it's those little things that make a big difference, again, for our rest. It doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be difficult, but we have
Yes.
to take that step.
Do you coach people on rest, teaching them how to rest and recognizing what all our body is doing to communicate that we need rest?
Once I finish this, I'll be done with the certification in about 4 weeks. So in December, yes, I will be able to start coaching people on that. And I don't know when this is going to air. I'm actually going to have a Black Friday deal to do something in January about rest. Yeah.
Awesome.
So I'm excited. I'm excited for it.
Yeah. So will that Black Friday run through November, December?
Yeah, it'll have it's gonna be a Black Friday special, and then I'll continue to offer it throughout December and everything, and it'll start in January. I'll finish the certification in December, so January I'll be able to start coaching.
That's
'Cause
awesome.
the last couple weeks of the year, nobody's doing anything except trying to get through.
Exactly.
So so
Exactly.
but we
Yeah.
can plan now.
Yes, we can plan now. It's so nice because, like, right now, work is really crazy, but I know after
Mhm.
Thanksgiving, it'll drop down a lot. Between
Yeah,
Thanksgiving and New Year's, it's, like,
yeah,
dead.
yeah, yeah.
So it's
So,
very
yeah,
nice.
I'm looking forward to being a certified rest coach and speaker and trainer.
Yeah, because I don't
Because
think
burnout and overwhelm is so huge, and we don't realize it, or we think we have to muscle up and be tough. And again, that gets right into mental health. Rest is at the foundation of everything mental health.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very interesting. I don't think I've ever met a rest coach before. You're first on this show. I love
Well,
it. You're
and what's
not
co- it- what
Go ahead.
it's cool. It's all based on this book, and it's a certified program through Sandra, specifically based on this book. And there are 17 of us in the program. It's the first time doing it, so we are going to be her first certified coaches.
That's
And super,
amazing.
yeah, super excited because the need is so great. And it's
It
interesting because
is.
as I raise awareness for myself, I'm hearing it more and more in my clients, and we talk about just that there's a rest quiz that Sandra has available that just helps people identify
Mhm.
where they may need some rest right now. So it's just really very interesting stuff.
Yeah, that's really cool. I love that. Yes, because it's true, Um, there was time, and it was 2023, and I felt God say, "I don't want you to, um, go after." So, when we owned our software, which we sold, but when we owned it, the time to get more clients was always between September and January. That was the
Mhm.
busy time because everyone's doing their budgets, they're looking at changing software programs, that kind of thing.
Right.
And so I felt in June, God, or May or June, I think it was May, that I don't want you to go after any new clients. And it was weird. I was like, is that me saying that because I'm tired? Because 2022 was huge with new clients. So I'm like, is that me saying that? But what I determined is that it was from God, and that because one, like you said, the world says we just need to go, 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 right? And so it can't be me because I'm wouldn't think that myself. And it's not the enemy because the enemy would want me to go, I feel, go, 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 go,
Right.
go, and burn out. So, okay, God wants me to rest. He doesn't want me to go after any new
Mhm.
clients. Do you know that within 2 months, we got the notification or the call that my husband's daughter was killed? So
Mm.
it was like he was preparing us mentally a little bit.
Mhm. Mhm.
And he even told me a month before, remember to stay close because when things get hard, I would tend to run. And so he was
Mhm.
reminding me, remember to stay close. And I was remember thinking, I wonder what the next bad thing is going to be. Is my mom going to die? Is it my
Right.
dad? And it unfortunately ended up being my 22-year-old stepdaughter. So when you were talking about when your dad died, it reminded me of Jimmy. When we got the call, he handed me the phone. I looked over and I just saw him yelling at God and telling him, I hate you and all of this stuff, right?
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
like you, also, God came so big and poured out his love and his gentleness and his within like a 20-minute period. I was talking to the person on the phone, and then 20 minutes later I went to go find him, and he was sitting there on a tree stump talking to God, calm as can be. I walk up to him and
Mm.
he said, God just changed me.
Wow.
And it's true. He has changed a lot since that time. And so I understand like that mental health, and don't think that it's been easy for him because it hasn't. he's struggled, the mental health of that. We have a garden dedicated to her, and he's done, we've done some things to, make a Mallory, her name was Mallory, a Mallory garden. And so I understand the toughness of mental health, especially after grief and, during grief and loss. And so do you help? I know there's a lot of loss and grief counseling out there, counselors out there, and I'm actually certified to do one. And I'm not sure where God has me going with that yet, but do you walk people through grief and loss and that all that
Yeah,
goes around that?
yeah, and those are hard journeys
They
because
are.
a lot of it is just needing to listen and reassuring the person that it's okay to feel what they're feeling, and that they're not bad for feeling what they're feeling. And at the same time, helping them not stay stuck in that. Pause is okay. We cannot stop. When mom died October 22nd, October 2020, and then dad died December 2022, I was my mom's caregiver the last 8 years of her life. Where I'm sitting is where her bed used to be. Um, my brother lives with me as well. When mom passed, we had to really get used to a new normal because for years we were someone needs to be with mom 24/7. So we were arranging schedules and cutting things short, just all the stuff.
Mhm.
And we got back from everything after the service. This is during COVID, after the service, after all the family left, after everything. I remember looking at my brother saying, "We can pause, but we cannot stop."
Yeah.
And that's part of grief. That's part of loss, is honoring that time, honoring those emotions without shutting down and without stopping. And again, that pause is necessary, and continuing to somehow take half an inch of a step,
Yeah.
just half an inch. And that
Yeah.
might be getting up and opening a shade that day. It
Mhm.
might be eating.
Mhm.
Those little things, and yeah, there's different guidelines that you watch for to make sure it's not going into something bigger.
Right.
But yeah, working through grief and loss, there is a lot of emotion to it. There's a lot of weight
Sure.
to it, and it is not an easy journey, and it's not a fast journey,
No.
and helping someone pace their journey is part of the challenge.
Yes. And the thing is like my husband, he worked through. Yeah, he built a shop, he resided our cabin, he
Mhm,
built a deck, and most of it with his own hands and a lot of it by
mhm,
himself. And that helped him cope and
yeah,
get through it.
yeah,
And unfortunately, it also led to some major bad habits, meaning
mhm,
he started smoking cigars heavily.
mhm,
And he just recently had a heart attack
mm,
and I'm telling you, God is amazing because he had a heart attack, a major heart attack, 100% blockage for 3 hours. And he
wow,
has a little bit of scar tissue that can heal. And that is all that's wrong.
wow,
But that has been the catalyst to changing his lifestyle, to the way he eats. He quit smoking, he quit snuffing, he's exercising every day, which never has been really an issue, but he's making inserted effort to make sure he gets at least 30 minutes a day, three
good for
days a
him.
week of strength training. And strength training for him is taking a chainsaw and cutting a tree down and or cutting a log down and cutting it into pieces,
Yep, yep,
taking a trunk of a tree and
mhm,
turning it into
yep,
logs. So
yep,
it's amazing that if we allow it, the catastrophic things in our life can lead us in the direction of our purpose, of
mhm.
our goal, of a closer relationship with God.
Very much so. I think what comes to mind, a number of years ago, My Step Ahead launched the Dare to Believe movement. And any relationship, when you're talking about your relationship with God, when you're talking about discovering your purpose, your reason for being here, for me, all comes down to the Dare to Believe movement because that is centered around one question. And it's how each person answers the question, do I believe that I matter?
Mm,
Yes, it's important that others believe you matter, but until you can say personally, with an affirmative, positive, bedrock way that, yes, I believe I matter,
mhm.
permanent life change cannot and will not happen. And how
Right.
that shows up is I believe I matter when I meet with my dietitian on Tuesday. I believe I matter when I keep my therapy appointment. I believe I matter when I say no and stay home because I'm too dad blasted tired. Believing you matter shows up in so many little ways. Your husband is believing he matters by making lifestyle changes. Your husband is believing he matters by fighting through grief and not letting it take him under.
Yes.
And I understand those things.
Yes.
And
Yes.
we talk about purpose. The Dare to Believe movement is all rooted in Isaiah 61, 1 through 3. And that is the prophecy that Jesus used to reveal himself as the Messiah.
Mhm.
This has been fulfilled in your hearing. I've come to bring release to the captive, sight to the blind, all these different things, freedom to
Yeah.
the prisoners. And if that was Christ's mission, that is our mission. That
Yes.
is our purpose because he is now at work in us and through us. And he doesn't give that mission to people that he doesn't believe in.
Right.
Christ believes you matter. And we have allowed things to get in the way of that belief. And that is the core issue that has to be resolved is do you believe that you matter? And
That is so true.
if the answer is I don't know, or maybe, or I hope so, then there are things that we need to work out. And I hope that
Yeah.
if that's your answer, please reach out to me. Let's get on a call because you
Yes.
do matter and
You
God
do
has great
matter.
things for you. And
Yes.
it's an adventure to discover what that is, but does that path of discovery doesn't start until you believe you matter.
That is absolutely beautiful. That was the Holy Spirit speaking right there because, it's 100% true. So if there's anybody out there who cannot answer the question, do I matter to myself? Do I matter to anybody? Please, if you do not answer, yes, I matter, please reach out to Sue, reach out to God, reach out to somebody because you do matter. You are so important and you are so loved, and He is giving you a purpose. And He has created you for a time such as this. And so, please, if you cannot answer that question with, yes, I matter, please start doing whatever it is you need to do to be able to say matter. Because, I went through that journey. Most of my life, I didn't believe I mattered, but I know now that I do. God has a purpose for me, and one of them is this show. Anyways, I am so appreciate having you on this show. And we will have you definitely back when you are
Be great.
certified as a rest coach because I
Yes.
want to get all I want to talk more about that. I want a dedicated show on rest.
That would be fantastic.
Yes.
January,
Yes.
after the holidays.
Okay.
After the
Awesome.
holidays.
Okay.
In the
It's been
meantime,
such a pleasure.
thanks. If I can throw this out there real quick. Sometimes people aren't quite ready to, have a life coach or go to counseling or whatever, but everybody needs encouragement. And I want to invite your listeners and your viewers. Just go to my website, SueBowles.com. And there's something I have called Hump Day Help. It's just a text I send out on Wednesdays. It's just an encouragement. No strings attached, no nothing like that. But I just want to encourage you because every week, every day, people need encouragement. And somehow it seems
It's
like
true.
Wednesdays are the day that people really need it. So reach out to me there. There's other stuff on the website. If something interests you or you want to reach out to me about anything else, you can do that through the website as well. But I'd love to get that text in your hand every week just to help you out and kind of just
I'll
help
go
you keep.
sign up. Everybody needs
Please do. That'd be
encouragement.
great. That'd be great.
Okay. We'll have you back soon and we'll talk
All
later.
right.
Okay.
Sounds great. Thanks, Sharon. Bye.
Bye. Thank you for watching Chase and Embrace in today's episode. I hope that you learned something. My goal of this channel is that you become closer and understand that Jesus loves you. And if you would like to be on this show, please go to chaseandembrace.com. Also, if you want to be notified of future conversations, please like and subscribe. I appreciate you for watching, and God bless you.